Begin recording.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you guys, everybody, for their responses in the Mac 101 Foundations course. Today, when you're getting this, it'll be Wednesday, June 28th. Only a few more days. Friday will be the last day for the dollar special. We ran it for a month, so get in. Goes up to 100. And then it'll go up to 1,000 with all the value added things that we're going to be putting in, just like all the rest of our courses. So let's jump right in. One of the quizzes basically asks, what's your biggest barrier? And this is for the people that are in it. And I figured I would do something external and help anyone that has these same sorry, that's not the corona. That's me talking and getting choked up. These same issues. And a lot of them have the same theme threaded in them. I'm coming from Windows. I'm using Windows. It's hard for me too. It's this, it's that. And so I want to untangle this from a person that literally uses 3 separate operating systems. Windows, Mac, Linux, I guess 4 with iOS, right? So there you have it. And I understand the issues. I was there. I'm there now as I burp. All right. And so here's the feedback. I'm going to go to the email.
Mail 3700. Link. Jake says, new line. Jake says, I'm coming from Windows with JAWS and it's hard to juggle them both at times.
All right. Jake, I'm coming from Windows with JAWS over to the Mac, and it's hard to juggle them both sometimes. My biggest advice for that is no, it's 2 different mindsets. It's 2 different thought processes when on Windows versus on the Mac. And you just have to take the time out to master both of them, right? It's like being completely blind and having 2 separate houses. Maybe you're over your mom's house, half the week, helping out over there, and then you got your house, right? So you're super familiar with your house. Mom just moved in, and you have to get used to where everything is there. And so it takes some getting used to. What I did when I first got started is I would take a command, a process, a task that I could do on Windows, and I would transfer that over to the Mac. So even if I wanted to send just a tweet from Windows, I would do the same thing on my Mac client until I mastered it, and it became super easy for me to do them both without thinking. Not thinking so much. I want to think on the task, not the process to get to the task. And of course, that's what we always want to be. And I'm glad you stated this as other people have, because it is something that you can master, and that's what we teach. But it's like getting the same result, but doing it 2 different ways. And we already have that built in, because how many different ways is there to do the same task, whether it be Windows or Mac, right? How many different ways is there? And so my thing was always, if it's 3 different ways, I'll learn the 2 most efficient, to do that particular task. And that's how I overcame it. So Jake, if you have any other concerns, you need help through that, thanks for being a member, and we're going to cover this in our class coming up in August. So you guys look out for that, those that are in, and if you're not, get in.
Link. Chantel says, my biggest barrier to using the Mac is lack of motivation. I don't find enough uses for the Mac, and using Windows is so much easier, especially since it is installed on my Mac via Boot Camp. I know some Mac and VoiceOver basics, but I want to learn more.
All right. Chantel, just the fact that you want to learn more is motivation enough. The reason why you don't use Mac enough is because you have the handicap, the crutch, if you will, of just going ahead and using Windows. I would venture to say, could be wrong, probably more than likely right, is you had somebody to install Windows for you, and then you just opted to use Windows. Now, when I talk about using 3 different operating systems, 4 if you include iOS, I have all 3 of those installed on one system. Now, I've been using this capability since the beginning of Intel-based Macs. Now, they're about to switch over to their own silicon, 17 years later. But for the past 17 years, I've had one computer, well, I have multiple computers, but I have all of them configured with Windows, Mac, and Linux, right? So I didn't do that as a crutch. I was an instructor and I didn't want to carry 3 different computers. I didn't want to have a computer with Windows and Narrator and a computer with NVDA and a Windows computer with JAWS and at the time WindowEye. So I would just configure virtual Windows computers, and I would have a variety of, at that time it was like Windows XP, Windows Vista, and now Windows 10. I would have all of those configured, like 7, 8 different computers all in one. Now that is the beauty of it, having the ability to run multiple computers inside of one machine. But that's super geeky. It served and is serving my purposes. But the biggest thing is, like I was telling Jake, you have to go in and actually force yourself to use it, right? Now that's if you want to. Because if nobody says, hey, you must use the Mac. It is great to be able to have multiple operating systems under your belt. But if by chance you just don't want to use it, don't want to use it. And the saying goes, and I have it to be true, the best running Windows machine is the one that's on your Mac. So you can dual boot, which means you can boot your computer directly into a Windows machine. It's going to run great. Get you a Windows keyboard. Cool. You need something, that you want to do on Mac. You just go over there and you do it. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to use the Mac. Now, it is built in accessibility versus bolted on. When you use a Windows computer, accessibility is an afterthought. That's why the updates with JAWS and all of that are after, more than likely, the features are released, because, just the inherent way it works. With the Mac, trust and believe that accessibility is almost first, even when they're talking about releasing something new, and everything else falls under that. So that is definitely the difference. Now, I hope to teach you a lot, Chantel, and I hope that I motivate you to use it more, because after all, you spent thousands of dollars to have a Mac, and I would want you to get a great and have a great Mac experience. Thanks for being a member, both Jake and Chantel.
New line. Is Chantel telling your story? CHM unfamiliar apps. I also CHM says, knowing how to make best use of VO when navigating the web and unfamiliar apps. I also struggle with remembering useful shortcuts. If you're having the same troubles, link, register today.
All right. So if you're having the same troubles as CFM, I think that was the name. Want to get it right? Hold on.
Unfamiliar. Chantel telling CHM says, knowing how to make best use of VO when navigating the web and.
All right. CHM. Best keystrokes, navigating the web, unfamiliar apps. All of that is muscle memory. All of that is doing it over and over until you have it under your fingertips. Common keystrokes. The good thing about the Mac is 95% of the activity, moving left and right, up and down, interacting, stop interacting, VO spacebar, Command 5 to open voice. So all of that stuff is built in no matter which app you're using. Safari can be very tricky. We'll definitely cover it inside of the series. But there's nothing more different about it than any other app. The same things that you use to navigate in Safari are the same things that you use in Logic. There's nothing different. You just have to understand what is it that you're wanting to do and what is the best way to accomplish it. Now, if you don't know the best way, right? We don't know what we don't know. You have to practice it. So open up a web page, navigate by heading, navigate by links, visited links, images. Use the item chooser to find out what's on the page. So the only way to get better at it is to do it, to use it, to get better at it, to bump your head enough times that the next time it comes up, you don't have to worry about whether you know how to do it or not. It's the only way to get better. So you kind of see the theme here. It's like, if you don't use it, Chantel, and you want to get better, you have to use it. You have to bump your head. You're going to make plenty of mistakes. But guess what? It's not going to break your computer like it did before. The worst case is you might not have sound because you pressed the mute button by mistake. So how do you get around that? Use keyboard help, VOK, and press keys and see what they do when pressed. And then you'll know what keys to press to perform whatever actions you want to do. There's always help in what you want to accomplish. So if you're in Safari and you want to know what a keystroke does, turn on keyboard help, perform the keystroke, listen to what VoiceOver says, turn it off, and then do that in the web page. Now, you don't have to turn on VoiceOver help for that particular keystroke anymore because you can just do it. Navigating by buttons, navigating by form fields, by edit fields, by headers. All of that stuff is an inherent function that once you learn it, it works across all applications that are accessible. Now, can developers go outside of Apple's development realm and make something that isn't accessible? Absolutely. But guess what? Coming up in the new Macs, it's going to be super hard to do. So I'm looking forward to that. Can't say any more, but hey, it is going to be amazing.
Unfamiliar apps. I also, if you're having the same trouble, Brent says, web browsing and getting used to the different way of editing as compared to Windows.
Yes. Rep Prince had the same thing, web browsing. Web browsing is, it's definitely a thing. Clearly, it's a thing, Thing, and a theme, THEME, amongst the people that are having issues. So again, we're going to cover Safari in depth inside of the course. Again, $1 for the next 3 days. Friday it is over. I promise you, when you wake up Saturday morning and you don't believe me, it's going to be 100. And 3 months from now, when the new operating system comes out and all the changes, that's going to go back up to its normal $997 rate. So the same thing applies as far as, with Safari. Do things that you want to do. I mean, if you don't know how to navigate a web page, period, then you have to learn that, because the form elements of a page are consistent. A button is a button is a button. You can navigate to buttons a myriad of different ways, but pick two ways, right? And and then you have it. So I'll give you an example. Let's go over to Safari.
Ecom messages. Safari. Tanger outlets vertical line Locust Grove. GA vertical line services. Window. Tanger outlet.
So we can navigate by heading.
Heading level 4, 2 items. Temporary center hour. Heading level close. Button. Heading level 2. Social media links. Tangier club member login. Collapsed. Link.
That's headings.
Open.
If you want to navigate by buttons, turn on
Quick nav on. Button not found.
There's no button past this point, so I'm going to shift B.
Submit. Button.
That's a button.
Preferred center. Pop-up button.
It's a pop-up
Select your
button.
preferred center. USA. Country. Required. Pop-up button.
What's a button?
Select decline cookies. Button.
That's a button.
Close. Button.
That's a button.
Accept main. Menu. Pop-up collapsed. Button.
That's a
Button
button.
not found.
And then there's no more buttons, right? What about a form field? With quick nav on, just press the letter F.
Email address. Edit text with autofill menu. To open the autofill menu, press the up or down arrow key, then press the country drop down. Group.
And let's say we want to navigate by visited links.
Visited link not found.
It's not one found. Let's go up. Shift V.
Contact US. Visited link.
And see how
Contact
we have
us.
That visited link. What if we just want to navigate by links that are on the page?
My Tanger profile. Link.
That's
My
a
Tanger
link.
profile.
pressing the letter L. What about item chooser?
Item chooser menu.
Press VOI, down arrow.
Sidebar, group, bookmarks, reading list, bookmark, search, book, favorite, book, multi, important, expanded.
Tells you the things that are there.
Link,
What about using the web rotor, VOU?
Links menu. Headings menu. Content, Windows, static, visited links menu. Non-visited links menu. No items in, live regions menu.
No live regions.
Images menu.
They got the images.
Text fields menu.
Text fields. All right, so
Link,
we're
by
going
timer.
to dive deep into Safari. Clearly, it's a issue, but that's just a primer. That's how these things work. Very fluently, works the same way every time. It's not like Windows where, oh man, you got to come up with a workaround. Why do I need to work around? Why can't it just work? That is Apple's motto. It just works, and it absolutely does. Now, I'm not a Apple fanboy from the standpoint that I don't understand. Like I said, I use Windows. I use it in the same way that I use the Mac, with the understanding that they are different. They think different. If they thought the same, then there's no reason to have multiple operating systems. Might as well just have one. Everybody in the world uses it. There you go.
Mail, 3000 mail.
All right. So
Brent says, web browsing and getting.
All right, and so when working with editing, Windows has the cursor key behind where you're typing, and the Mac has the cursor key where the cursor has been left off. To my knowledge, that can be switched. I keep those default settings the same so that when I'm teaching people, they have everything set up in its default manner. I believe that can be switched in Windows. I never really looked. It seems as if it could. Mac is more logical to real world thought, which means if I typed the letter B-R-I-N, what would you expect the cursor to be? Well, you've already typed the letter N. You would think that the cursor was in front of the N, ready for the next letter. And so that took some getting used to, but after that, it just seemed natural to me. It just seemed like the logical way of doing things. So we'll definitely cover that, Brent. And this is Brent back home. Thank you again for another purchase. Really, really appreciate you. Thanks for being a member. So yeah.
Register today. Link. Like us on Facebook. Link. Register today. Link.
Everybody covered.
Register today. The Fedora Outlier LLC logo. Link. Image. Quick nav off.
Oh, sorry.
Link. Cover new line. Cover what you want to learn. As you can see, cover new line. These will be covered new line. So, if you want to make your voice link, remember, the price increases to link. So, new will be these apps new line. Cover what you want to. As you can see, link. Compared to Windows. Brent says, if you're unfamiliar apps. I also struggle.
All right, so that's everybody. So remember, guys, $1 next 3 days. I teach you personally. We're on like lesson number 20, and we got 40, 50, 60 more to go to help you master the Mac.
Safari. Ecom live.
So we'll see you where? On the inside.
And record.